Okay, this is the pre-start video. By pre-start, we mean if you are an absolute beginner, so if you don't know how to use Blender, it's the first time you're opening, or maybe the second time, you don't know very well how it works and don't know how to use the interface, so you start from here, okay? If you are more familiar with using Blender and you understand 3D a little bit more, then you can go straight to the tutorial 1. Okay, so this is the pre-start. And here we go through how to use the interface, how to create objects, how to add materials. So it's a kind of basic introduction to the software and how to do things. The only thing is, if you're not doing the pre-start and you're going straight to video 1, what you're going to be looking at here before is how to install the lazy viewport, because in the videos I'll be using lazy viewport. So I'll put the link below for you to install the lazy viewport, and that's it. Let's get started. So here is my final city, and that's what we're going to start building from scratch. Okay. But before we start, I just want to show you, if you haven't used Blender any time before, I'll go through how to use it, or the interface. So here is my 3D screen. I'm in the tab here called Layout. So you have different tabs in Blender. Yeah, so you have sculpting and UV editing. Don't worry, we're going to find out this later. We're going to be using the layout mode. Here on the left-hand side, on the right-hand side, you have our scene collection, what they call collection. It's all the objects that you create will be listed here. Okay, collection is basically another name for group. And here you have your tools down here that we're going to be using a lot. Okay, so let's just open a new scene here. So I'm going to go to Find, New, and General. I'm not going to save this one because I've already saved. So when you start with Blender, you have cube. You can see a cube there. It's always the standard. Here, what you click, if you click on top of it, it becomes yellow, right? Or orange. Here is a camera. As you see, if you click here and look at your list here, your collection, that's a camera. And here it's your cubes, called cube. And that other one that's there is a light. Okay. So let's just start creating some objects so you know how it works. So here, how to move. Let's see how to move. If you press your mid mouse button, the roller, the one with the rolling thing, and you'd move. So I'm holding my mid mouse button and moving left and right and up and down. So that's how it moves. If you press Control and then the mid button, Control mid button, and you move up and down. So you go zoom in and out. And if you press Shift and the middle mouse button, then you can pan left and right like this. So, and you can also scroll in and out. So scroll out, you zoom out, scroll in. Yeah, so it's the same as the Control, but then you can do it by scrolling as well. Okay, so now I am just pressing my mid mouse button and rotate. Okay, so I have a go at this a little bit, practice a little bit. Okay, and then we're gonna start. So now, if you press number 1, so here's our perspective view. So as you can see here, we have this red line, which is your x-axis, and your green line is the y-axis. And you can't see it here, but we have the third axis 3D, which is the z-axis, which is going to be blue. Okay. So if I press this, as you can see, this is our 3D space. So you have the x-axis, the y-axis, and here, as you can see, the green one, it goes up. Just remind, this is the American way. I mean, in other softwares as well, it might be different, so be aware of that. The other softwares, you might have the X and Z being at the bottom, and then the Y, the one that goes up, right? So just be aware of that, because some softwares are different, okay? You can also change that here, but we're not going to change it now, okay? So this is our perspective view in our 3D space, okay? So here at the top here, as you can see, you have this little kind of icon here. So if you press X, so now if I press X, I'm looking down the X-axis. So if I go back, so if I just click here again with my mid mouse button click, I went back to my perspective view. So I'll be looking at this here. So let me just annotate. So yeah, so this is my eye. It's terrible, but yeah, so if I press X here, that's what I'm looking at. Okay. Let me just erase that. Okay. There you go. And then, okay, so if I press again the X, I'm looking from the other side, which is minus X. Okay. If I press Y, now I'm looking at the Y axis and minus Y. And then Z, I'm looking, you see here, is my top view. And then if I press again, it's my bottom view. Okay. So if I go back, so the same thing, if I press 1, I'm looking down my y-axis. Okay. If I press 3, so that's my front view. So it says here, front orthographic. So I'm just going to click that one. And if I press 3, it's right orthographic, which means it's my side view. And if I press 7, I'm going to see my top view. Okay. So it's basically, sometimes we're going to use that quite a lot. So don't worry about now. You just need to understand the 3D space. Okay. Okay. So, and that's our cube. We have a cube there, 3D. It's always rest in the middle. So I'm going to delete this cube. Okay. Okay. I've just deleted the cube, but I'm going to add a new cube. So, and then I'll show you some other things. So in order to add a cube, you have a little menu here. Go to add mesh. Okay. A mesh is a 3D object. Add a cube. And it's the cube there right in the middle there, right? And I recommend, Blender doesn't have this, but most of the softwares have something. If I click here, let me just show you now before I explain. So I have here these arrows here. These buttons here. So those arrows up and down, it says for you to move. You can see it shows an axis to move. Okay. So if I want to move in X, I move in X. I click on the top of the arrow, hold it, and scroll. Okay. And then if I want to move in Y, I do that. And if I move to Z, I do that. If I grab in the middle, right in the middle there, I move anywhere. Yeah. So remember, this is a 3D space. You might get lost sometimes. Okay. Especially if you haven't used 3D before. Okay. So you can go into space. Right. And this is for moving an object, is that one. So this second one here is rotate. It's the same concept. If I want to rotate in X, I go on the top of the red one there. If I want to rotate in Y, and if I want to rotate in Z. Have a go at that. Okay. So, oh my God, how do I go back now? So, we have those things here. Okay, and you have another arrow here. If you see, it's very tiny there, near that gizmo there. So there's a little arrow. Also, a shortcut is the letter N. Yeah, N, and you see here. So he is telling me the location of my cube right now in 3D space. Yeah, so it's like minus in X. So I can, if I want to bring it to the beginning, to the center again, I just press 0, click and hold, select all of them, press 0. So it's gone back to the beginning here. And here is showing me the angle I've rotated for each axis. So if I want to go back to 0, I'm just going back to 0, and my cube is there, back to normal. Okay. The other thing is telling me here, my cube is 2 meters by 2 meters, right? I'm not going to bother about this right now, but we're going to use it so you know the dimensions you're working with. So, yeah. So again, rotate, and you can rotate through here as well. You can click and hold with the left mouse button, and you are rotating. Yeah, if I want to move from here as well, I can. Yeah, if I don't want to see this again, I press N for November, and there you're back there. Okay, so you know you're getting familiar with some of the windows that you have available for you. Okay, there is another way as well. So let's go back to 0 here. Okay, if I have this pressed and I move, I can also access here. Let's say I start moving, and then, but you can only do this once. So, and then I can say, oh, if I want to be precise, so I just had a little bit of a move, and this window down here appears. Move. How much do you want to move? If you want to be precise, okay, I'm going to move 1 meter. Okay, I moved 1 meter. Okay, so once I click away, that window disappears, right? So if you want to go back, you can always go back here, but you won't be able to access that again once you click away. So if I'm going to go here, at the moment, there is no little window there. I need to, for example, start to move. So let's say I'm going to move in what? In Z. So as soon as I let it go, then it appears here. Oh, how much do you want to move? You can come here and change as well. Okay. And you can even add more. But if I then decide that I'm going to rotate and I start a rotation, now that window, there's the rotation. I can't go back to my move. Okay. So just, you know that, because it's quite important. We're going to be using this a lot. Okay. Right. Okay. So now the third one here is a scale. And again, ways to scale this. Let me just go back everything, my rotation to 0 now, because it's important. And I'm actually going to put back in the middle. So I'm rotating around. The scaling. So I can scale in X. Okay, so I create a kind of rectangle, kind of block R and Y. And I can rotate, can scale in Z. Okay, let's create something like this. Oh, yeah. So if I want to scale, okay, in all the 3 at once, I go to the white line. Try that. Click on the right line and pull on in and out. Yeah, go up and down with your mouse. You are clicking with the left mouse button here. Go on the top, left mouse button. The same for this. Okay. If I want, let's say, to scale only 2 axes. So you can see here, there is a little square here. Okay. So this one, the square in Y. So if I click that, try that. So that means I'm scaling in X and Z, but I'm not scaling in Y. Okay. So if I do this one and I scale, so that means I'm scaling in 2 axes only, but not the X and the Z one, which is that one. I hardly use this one, to be honest. So I prefer to do this and that and so on. Okay. Yes. So now, if we want to rotate, now I want to rotate something. If I'm going to rotate, let's say I rotate this, I rotate that, and I rotate this. And I'm going to scale now. I'm scaling. I can't get the right thing now. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to delete this. Press delete. Press delete. Okay. And I'm going to add a new cube again. And this is very important. I'm going to deselect this. I'm just going to click that one at the top there. Okay, the little arrow, which is the select box. Okay, this is where Blender might differ from other softwares, right? So if you click here and that cube, they have some shortcuts for the transform, for moving. Is G for move, okay? So if I press G, I'm moving, right? And I can't see those axes. I can't see them. But if I press X, means I only move in X. If I press Y, I only move in Y and Z. So these shortcuts are very, very useful, right? But I always see as a lecturer when the people are starting with Blender and also coming from other softwares, this can be end up sometimes, from what I observe, a little bit confusing, right? So because you click here, press G, and you end up here, but you have no idea exactly where it is. I think using those controllers give you a lot more control of how you're moving and where you are. Okay. Once you become more familiar and more comfortable with software, you might want to just use the shortcuts also. Press G and then X and then, click and then G. At the moment I can see because that is clicked. Okay. Yeah. So Y and Z and so on. Sorry. So what I want to do, I want to have, so instead of me having to go, okay, I'm going to move this. So I'm going to go here and click, go there. And then now I'm going to rotate, go there. And then I'm going to move again, go back. I don't want to be clicking that. So I use what we call an add-on in Blender. An add-on is basically a plugin. Okay. So I can see that those axes constantly on my screen every time I click an object. Okay. You can see that that's normal practice in other softwares like Maya and things like that. So just go back here to 0 and I'm going to select, hold and 0. Okay. So if you go down here, let me just get here. There's an add-on called Lazy Viewport. So here I am on the screen here. If you just Google Lazy Viewport and the GitHub will come up. So you click Lazy Viewport here and that's your GitHub. This is where you're going to get your add-on. And where it says code here, you go down and you download your zip. Okay. Download zip. Okay. And it should be in your download folder. That's my Lazy Viewport master. So I am going to extract all. Okay. And double click and that I have my lazyviewport.py. Okay. So I have that. So let's install this add-on. So in Blender, you have a lot of options to add add-ons. So if you go how to edit and preferences, and here you have add-ons. Okay, so here you have all sorts of add-ons that comes with Blender. If they are not ticked, you can tick on and off add-ons. So this one comes already they come with Blender. Some others we need to install. So we're going to go on the top here and press install. And I'm going to go back to my downloads. And I'm going to find that file, lazyviewport.py, and install add-on. Okay. And then it appears here. So if you don't see it, you have to write here, say lazy, just put lazy whoop. Come up here. You need to tick that box. Okay. And if you click here, you can auto save preferences. I warn you, if you are using like college computers or university computers, you might need to reinstall this all the time, every time you use it, because the university system will restart and reset the whole thing. So just be aware of that. So if you don't see it, next time you use your computer, then you need to install it again. Just keep it save in your hard drive somewhere easy. Okay, so you don't need to be downloading all the time. So you have it. So now it's installed. So what happens is now I'm going to click here, and it already appears those the axis for me to work with. Okay, so if I come here and I add a different cube, then I add another. Let's say I add a UV sphere. I can't see my UV sphere because it's the same place as my cube, but I can see here I can move, right? So now when I click the different objects, I can see the axis, and I can press R. So G is for move. I can press R. So when I press R, it changes to rotation. And then if I press S, it changes to scale. Okay. So, yeah. Okay, now that you're familiar with the interface and you understand the axis and you stored your lazy viewport, you sometimes have to still click G in order to move. So, so if you don't see it, you click either G or rotate or scale. R for rotate, S for scale. Anyway, now let's start creating some objects, and I'll talk a little bit about the pivot points and also the 3D cursor in Blender. Okay, so I'm going to click my cube here, and I can see if I move my cube, right? So the pivot is this, where is located the pivot point of this object is right in the middle of this cube, okay? So it's moving, and if I rotate, I'm rotating around that pivot point, which is in the center there, okay? So let's create another cube, and it created another cube right in the middle there. You can see here that there is this little 3D cursor we call. This is a Blender thing, and it's right here. If you go here to the cursor on the left hand side here, if you click on it, okay, and it's now selected, anywhere I click, that cursor will move to wherever I click. Okay, let's say I'm going to put it here. So now it can be very useful. So now if I create a new cube now, and it's going to put the cube where that cursor is. Okay, it's called the 3D cursor. So I have this selected. Mind you, if you let it select it, anywhere you click is going to move. Okay, so I'm going to come here and add another cube, and it's there now. Okay, so how can I use this 3D cursor? So it can be very useful. So let's say if I click here, and I want to bring this object to where the cursor is. Okay, so I can press Shift S for sugar, and then I have a few options here that I can do. So I can bring this cursor back to origin. I can select any object and bring the cursor to selected. In this case, I want selection to cursor. Then you want there. Okay. Let's say I want to bring this back to the beginning, or I could put 0, 0, but let's say it's somewhere else. So I can bring, let's just create a new cube first. Add cube, then G, I'm going to bring it. I actually accidentally put back the cursor toward origin. So let's say it's there now. Now I'm going to bring my cursor there. Shift S, cursor to selected. So now I brought my cursor there, and I want to move this. Shift S, selection to cursor. The thing is here now, it put the two cubes on the top of each other. As you can see, it's creating this artifact here. And that's because you have two objects sharing the same place, and that's not what you would want. So that's going to lead me to the other thing I'm going to show you. Oh, let me turn this off. I had turned on just to tell you first. So I'm going to show you the snapping tool. So here in this magnet, you have a snapping option. So here now, if I move, it's snapping to the grid. So we have a grid. Let's put it back. This put back my group, my cube to 0. So I have a grid, and I have that on, and it's snapping to the grid. So as you can see, it's snapping. If I go to my orthographic view, which is my front view, my side view, or top view, and you can see that you have a lot more little cubes. So that means it's splitting the grid into mini grids. So this one is 1 by 1, and that means I have 10 little squares. So you can also snap into the little ones. So it's a way of doing snapping. If you click on this one here, you can decide, I want to increment snapping, and I have here absolute grid snap. So it is turning on grid snap. If you want to scale, let's put it here. By default, only the move snaps. Okay. So if I want to scale, for example, press S for scale is not snapping to anything. So I can come here and say scale, and I'll put on rotate as well. And then now you should see I am an orthographic view. Yeah, just just remember that, it's much easier. So now if I want to rotate, it should now rotate to, you see it's snapping to the angle slowly, right? Okay, so, and then you have all the options here. To smart, to vertex, to edge, but it seems in Blender it wasn't very easy until it was a bit annoying compared to other softwares, how to snap. But now in the version 4 plus, Blender 4 plus, they have what they call a snap base. So I'm going to show you this now. Okay, I can turn this off now. Okay, so what you do, you press G. Let's say I'm going to move this guy, so I'm press G. And then I keep my left mouse button down, and I press B for baby, and I still keep your mouse button down, left mouse button down. And then you can see I can choose here where I want this end here. Okay, now I unclick this, and then I move. It's moving automatically. I'm not clicking anything. And then I say, okay, where do you want to snap this? I want to snap. Do you want to snap to this vertex here, which is at the end, this corner? Do you want to snap to the middle of the cube here on that corner, or the other one? So, okay, I'm going to snap here. Then you click. So you snap there. You know this is absolute precision, okay? So let me just duplicate this. Duplicate. Okay. Put it somewhere. And even if I don't have anything, I press G. Keep mouse button, left mouse button, press B. Still, the mouse button is down. And I said, okay, this center of this edge now, okay, this is what I want to snap. Where do you want to snap? I want to snap right there. Okay. And then I can do the same thing now. Duplicate. And I pressed B, and it went back there where it was. So I said, okay, this one now I can move. You click and hold, okay, there. So you know they are not overlapping. They are snapped together in the right place, okay? So I wanted to have a go at this. You need to practice, okay? Let's do a few more. So I'm going to Control D, and I'm moving. I press B. It went back to the right, to the same place. Let's say I want this corner here. Where do you want to put it? I want to put in the other corner there. There you go. Shift D, and I'm not going to put it there now. I just click there. So now it's there, but I still need to press G again to move. Start moving. Press B. Keep the left mouse button down. I want to go this corner now, and now I want to. So now I unclick the left mouse button, and then I click where I want to snap. Okay, it's a really, I mean, it might be a bit fiddly at the beginning, but it's really good that Blender did that. Shift D, B. If you press B, it went back there, but it's on the top of the other one. I said, okay, what do you want to snap? This one. Now I click and then I move. Okay. So I want to put this on top now, so I can do Shift D. I'm just going to put it there. Click there. Okay. Now press G again, and then B. This one I want to put it there. Okay. Okay. So I go to my front view. The other way you can do the same as you put on top of each other. You can use this the magnet, the snapping tool. Shift D. And then you can do, and then at least you know you will be snapped to the grids. If you are snapping to the grid, so that means you know it's gonna match there. It's not gonna overlap. Okay, this is super important. Okay, but I want you to practice the base snapping. So let's do it again. Add mesh cube. Oh, it created the cube over there. You see, I didn't want the cube over there. I want it in the middle here, so I can go Shift S. So let's just recap. Cursor to word origin. So I brought my cursor there. Now I'm going to press Shift S again. Cursor to selection to cursor. There you go. Now I'm going to start duplicating. And then G to move, B, there you go. Shift D, B, okay. Shift D, B, when the B went back there, okay. So keep going, have a go. Shift D, B, and I want this bit now. I don't want to snap here, okay. This is very good. Okay, keep practicing, and I'll see you in the next bit. For now, put some objects on the ground. Create a ground and put some objects. So I'm going to delete this cube. Okay, I'm going to create a ground. I'm going to add a mesh, which is I'm going to add a plane. I'm going to add a plane. Plane is there. I'm going to scale. Let's have a look here. If I press N, go back here. So say 18 meters. Let's put 10 meters by 10 meters. Okay. So now I'm going to create in the same place my cube. Create a 2 meter cube. Let's put 1 meter. Just select here and put 1 meter. So that's my cube. Now my cube is overlapping. So I can come here and using my snapping tool, press G to move. I can just bring it here and then snapping, and I know it's not there to the grids. It's on the floor here. So it's on the top of the cube. On the plane. Okay. Now I'm going to add UV sphere. I also want my UV sphere to be 1 meter, and I'm going to move. Go to number 1. Okay. Okay. So let me just put this way a little bit. If you don't want, you can click off and then just put whatever you want. Let's add another object. A cylinder. I can change here or here. Okay. Say how many vertices I want in my cylinder. 32. It's okay for now. Let's just leave it. I can control the radius. And okay. Oh, sorry. Here you go. And I can control the depth of my cylinder as well from here. Okay, just make it like that. And I'm going to move. I'm going to go to my number 1 again. I click here, my grid. See, now I can't put it right there because my grid, the size I made it, is not following, it's not really sticking to the grid now. Let's just do that. Okay, so you have that. Let's create another object. I'm going to add the monkey. Let's put the monkey. I also want a 1 meter monkey. Okay, so let's bring the monkey here. Apologies. And I'm turning off snapping for now. I'm going to rotate this monkey here. Okay. And let's put the monkey. If I can't see it, I'm going to go to my side view and I'll bring down the monkey. It's touching the ground there. Let's just put these guys here and the monkey. Okay. So these are my objects. Okay. So how can I see, this is not my camera, it's not my view. So as you can see, every time I create something, it's appearing here on the list. Okay. So, and it's all inside a collection. So a collection is a group. So what I can do, I'm going to create here on the top here, a new collection, and I'm going to call that objects. This is very good to keep organized. Objects. And I'm going to put my cube, my cylinder, okay? And I can also come here, my sphere. I can click with the right mouse button and said move to collection. Which collection do I want to move? My object. And again, the monkey is called Suzanne. That's what you see. The monkey is called Suzanne. And then move to collection, and I want to come objects. So if and I did my cube as well. Inside here, can I drag and drop there as well? So if I turn off here my eye, I don't see my objects. Yeah, they're there. And here, if they're there, I'm going to render the objects or not. Okay. Okay. So let's get a camera. Now let's set up a camera. So my camera is there. Okay, but it's here. So how do I see what the camera is looking at? I press 0. Okay. And 0, it gives me the camera view, which is in this case is not bad, is in the right place, is showing what I need to see. Okay. So here it gives me the location of my camera and the angles and everything. So at this bottom and this little menu here, something called view. Did I do anything here? Oh yeah, view. Okay. So let's say if I want to place my camera, I want to position my camera. I'm not positioning my camera. Okay, my camera is still there. I just went back to my perspective view. So what you want to do here in Blender, which is different from other softwares as well, if you've been using other ones, in this thing here, let me just open here, it's camera to view. If you click camera to view, right, and you see this orange line, that means you're looking through the camera. You have to click that on, and then you can adjust. So I can press the shift middle button to pan, and I can up and down as well. I can just click the middle button and rotate, and then, you find your way, find the best angle that you want. Okay, let's just put it something like this. Okay. Now I can see this bit here is cutting off, so I'm just going to move my plane, or maybe scale my plane a little bit so it covers that. Okay. And it covers this side as well on the left. Okay, so now let's just place it nicely. This is what I want to see. That's my, okay. Now, once I'm happy where my camera is positioned, and I can untick this button. So now if I go around, I'm not moving the camera. The camera is now fixed there. Okay, so if I click the camera and I press 0, You don't need to click the camera. You can just press 0 anytime and you will come up to what your view is. Try to add some objects to your scene. Place the camera and then I will show you how to add some materials. And so from that, we're going to cover some basics and then we can start creating our city. So now we have 4 objects on the ground and we're going to add some colors to it. Okay. I don't need this thing. I can press N to close. So here on this side here, you have a lot of tools that we're going to be using them quite a lot. But we're going to start with the material. So it's down here. It's called material. If you put your mouse over, it comes up what it is. So here we're going to create some materials. Okay. You have this different little interface here. For now, just press new. And then it creates a new material called material 1. I'm going to call it the white material. I'll just put it white. And here, if you click here, is the color that you can choose the color. Mine is white. I want white. You can also choose here if it's metallic graphite. We have a look at this in a minute. Let's just create a few other ones. Your tendency is to create that plus button. But I'm going to click here. I'm going to explain that later. So here is the add a new material. So I'm going to add a new one. It's by default, it just adds a number. I don't want to be called white 001. I'm going to put red. Okay. And now I'm going to click here and I'm going to choose red. Maybe that red. Okay. Create another one. Blue. I'm going to come here. Add a blue and add a new one, call it green, click on the top of it and green, just make it darker green. Yeah. How many colors? Maybe one more. Pink, shall we say pink? Sorry. Here you go, pink, and I'm going to choose a pink color. They're a bit brighter. Okay, so here you can control the brightness, the value. Okay, so now how do I put this onto my object? So let's get the ground first. So this is my ground, which is called my plane. I'm going to call it, if I double click there, keep it tidy, call ground. Okay. And my ground, it says here is pink. I want to put white. Okay. And let's say this cube, I want to put pink. But I can't see anything now. Why not? Because I have some different ways of shading. So I'm using now my viewport shading, which is just solid, which is just going to be gray. Here is my wireframe, so you can see your mesh, your 3D mesh. Okay. And then this one here, you can see the colors, right? Just the color. And then in the last one here, at the viewport shading, you can see the color with some shadows and stuff according to the lighting that you have in the scene. I have one light in the scene. Yeah. So because that comes by default and I didn't delete it. So the light is there. And you can see if I move this light the same way, yeah, the shadow is moving. So I'm going to bring it down here, let's say. Don't want it too strong. There. Well, that's my light. Got one light there, which is point light, which means emits light 360 degrees all sides. Okay. I'm going to leave that for now because I'm just talking about materials right now. So press 0 again. Okay, so I have a cube. I am in my viewport there. So now let's go and click the other objects, go back to my materials. So now I can't see anything here, but if you click here, I have all the materials created here. So I'm going to make my monkey, Suzanne, is going to be green. My sphere is going to be red. And my cylinder is going to be blue. Okay. So this is what I have. Right. It doesn't look very exciting, does it? Now, there's other things that you can play with. So if I'm clicking my ground, if I click the ground, it shows me which materials apply to it. So you have other options here that you can play with. You have, let me just actually click this sphere. Sphere is going to be, you see that the sphere looks, oh, this facets is looking out, you can see the faces. So if you right click on the top of the sphere and put shade smooth, so now it's smoother. Okay. So now you can see here my sphere has a level of roughness. Roughness means how glossy the object is or how rough it is. Roughness has no glossiness at all, as you can see. If you bring it back here, just click. Yeah, bring it down. If you make it roughness 0, it's a very glossy object. Yeah, as you can see here. Yeah, so I'm going to make it quite glossy, right? So this guy here, let's say I don't want it to be, I'm just going to be a little quite rough. So there is no shiny. It's not shiny. And also you can choose if his object is metallic or not. Okay, so you can put that one is going to be metallic, but I'm going to leave it 0. I'm going to make Suzanne metallic. So I'm going to put Suzanne metallic. And so you see here, you can play with the roughness as well. And I will make my cube. Going to make a metallic cube. And not really, I don't like metallic cube. I'm going to bring it like that. Make it a bit shiny only. Okay, glossy. And I've got my ground. Okay. So it's not exciting, right? I can make a Suzanne smooth as well, even though it hasn't got a lot of resolution, so it looks a bit weird, but let's go with that now. And how do I see this? If I render this, I can come here, I press F12, or I can render image. If I render this image, that's what I see. Okay. This is not very exciting. So the lighting is not very nice. So there's one thing that I want to look at. If you click on the little button here, the little arrow, you can choose kind of what we call the environmental lighting. Okay. So that means an environment that is slitting your scene. Okay. What I'm going to do here, first of all, I'm going to delete my light. Delete. So if I click this on, there is no light, absence of light completely. Yeah. So if I click my world, I can see that there's my background is lighting the objects, and the background is dark gray, so I can only see dark. Just remember to save your scene. I just crashed and I didn't. I was recording the video, so I didn't save it, so I have to just build up again. That's why it looks a little bit different. But there you go. I deleted the light now. Let's go back to where we were. The other thing I want to show you is if you go to render properties here, and the second one here, and you can see the two types of render engines in Blender. So you have the Eve, which is kind of fast rendering, real-time rendering, good for game engines and things, but doesn't look very good. And then in terms of creating a nice image. And then you have Workbench, don't worry about it. And then if you click Cycles, you can see you get a lot more definition. You can see the shadows, it's a lot smoother and so on. And you can control quite a few things with the cycles. Of course, it's all very dark because we have no light at the moment. So let's create some light. Okay, so let's add a light here. A couple of lights. So instead of adding a point light, we have different types of light here. So if you come here, add, you have the point light, which is like emit lights in every direction. You have the sun. Got the spotlight and an area light. A light that I like very much is the area light. We will learn about environmental lighting as well, which is my favorite. But for now, I just want to add the area light. Area light is kind of, it's a kind of square shape or rectangular shape that you can resize. Yeah, so you can kind of control what size. And is emitting the light in this direction here where the those yellow dot is. So I can just bring it at the top here. See, at the moment is rendering real time. That's why, depending on your computer, how powerful it is, it might be struggling. So one thing I want to come here to the render bit, and I go to render. It says maximal samples. The higher the samples, the more calculations the computer have to work. And I suggest, you lower this, so while you're working, and then you can increase slowly and see how long it takes to render, but just keep it low for now. Let's just put 100 now. Okay. So see now it's not calculating, doesn't need to do a lot of calculations right now. So I can move this. Let's say if I move here, and I can control Z. Let's just go to my side view, and I can just use that. You can see how it works. So, and here in the light, every time I create a light, so that will appear here. It says data. Don't know why it's called data. And you can see the power of this light and the color. You can add a different color to the light. 10 is quite low, so I'm just going to put maybe 50. And quite bright. But, yeah. So I'm going to keep that one in. There. Okay, let's have a look. Okay. So you can see it's creating quite soft shadows. And I'll add another one at the back there. I was like, another one at the back. So let's just go here. I'm going to add another area light. Just to add some more from the back here. So here in those yellow, if you click the lights, you have those yellow bits. The bigger you are, this is going to emit light from all this entire rectangle. So you can also use rotate to rotate here and put the way you want it. Maybe I'm just going to put on the side. I'm just going to press G. The same way you can do the movements of any object, you can also move the light. I don't know, just... Yeah, so as you can see, I'm getting some shine, some kind of reflections here, and so on. These lights is also 10. Just say if I put 100, for example, yeah, it's a lot of light there. It's a lot bright. And you can see it's creating a very harsh shadow there because it's only emanating light in this direction here. Okay. Actually, I'm going to put 30 here, not a lot. And we can do lighting at some other time with more other techniques. And also I want to teach you the environmental lighting, which I will, in doing the exercise. So for now, just going to keep it like that. Maybe I just rotate a little bit down. Something like that. I'm avoiding those dark areas. Okay. And this one, I might rotate a little bit. This light here. Okay. I can also select a light and just duplicate like the other way and move around. Press X to move in that direction. And I want to have a look. I want to add some light on this side here. So I'm just going to move maybe around here, a little bit that way. And then Just move this way a little bit. And then 3, I'm just moving to go to orthographic. I keep pressing 1 for my front view, 3 for my side view, and 7 if you want a top view. Okay. Maybe something like this. Okay. Let's have a look. Press 0 to your camera view. It's very subtle and it's just a little bit of light there. It's fine. Yeah, I'm happy with that. The other thing I want you to look at is the shadows. So that's another thing I see a lot on my students working on their renders and their lighting scenes is the shadows. So if I go back to Eve here, you can see in Eve, you can see a lot clearer because it's not smooth. So there's a whole bunch of shadows here. I'll just get closer. You see, it's kind of they are fighting. There's shadows from all over. So you can control that. Let's go back to cycles. Here you don't see too much because they're kind of a lot smoother, right? So I want to make sure that I don't cast shadows from every light. So if you select the light, for example, this light here, that was selected, then my last one, I don't want to cast shadows, so you can come here and click on the light and then untick cast shadow. So I just want a shadow from this big light that I have here. And I don't want any shadows from the back one either, so I can untick that. Okay. And also you can add as you wish. For now, which is just how to use this thing, as you can see, the other light here that my sphere is reflecting the scene around. So as I add this other one, you have these nice reflections here. Okay, so if I can render this now, I can render image, and this is what I have. Okay. Of course, you can always adjust. I can come here to this light and I can say, okay, I want more light, so I'll put 100. You know, you have to balance how bright this is going to be and so on. You can add a little color, maybe. So if you're in a blue color, I don't want that. So I undo this. Okay. It's 100. What I'm not happy with this monkey, I don't think it's the material that I'm not happy with. So I'm not going to make it metallic. Maybe I do kind of and maybe I want it to be darker. And I also would like to add a little bit more detail in my monkey, you know, so it can capture the light better. So I can come here to my material. Don't worry about too much about now. So I'm going to add a modifier to this monkey just to add more geometry. So I'm going to go and search subdivision surface. Don't need to worry too much because we're going to see a lot of this in our upcoming exercise. And now you see it made the monkey a lot more, a lot smoother. Okay, so let me just go back here to click on this one so it renders faster. So as you can see now, the monkey has, if I go back there, you can click here so you don't see it with the modifier. So that's how the monkey looks like without the modifier, the subdivision, because it's kind of low poly. So I can turn on and you can see it's a lot smoother now. And I can come to the material of the monkey. Maybe I just add roughness. I don't want it to be that shiny. Okay. So you can see, go back there. Okay. And I think my light is a bit too strong, so I'm going to go back to 50 and so on. Right, okay. As you can see here, the light is capturing, the material is reflecting the monkey there on the ball. Okay, if I bring it closer, you can see. Right. Okay, so now that I'm kind of happy with this light, I mean, it's not super exciting, it's not amazing, but for now, it's what I need. Let me go to the floor here. And, oh, I don't think I applied a material to the floor, so just put the white material. And the white I want to be, if I just put a metallic ground, as you can see there. Depending on your computer, this will take some time or it's going to slow down. So that's why I suggest you put here, and then once you're happy, you can increase. So I also want to my area 1. It's just test a little bit. So I'm just going to cast shadow. I think I want to cast shadow from my area 1 as well, because it just gave more definition here on the monkey and also everywhere else. So you have to kind of play with it. Also, in order to render faster, if you're using PC, if you're using a Mac, you can't. But if you're using PC, you just GPU compute. Rather than the CPU. Okay. And yeah, I'm happy with that. So if I'm happy, I can then increase the samples. I don't know, I'm just going to put 500 for now and then render my image. Save it. Don't remember to forget to save. And I'm going to render. Should take a few minutes depending of... Okay, it's finished rendering now. It took here, you can see how long it took, 2 minutes and 57 seconds. It's a very basic image, but you can see it's starting to look good. There are many ways to do lighting. Lighting's an art. It takes time, and there's whole sort of techniques, but we're going to go through this later on in our tutorials. Okay, so as I have this render here, if you want to save it, you go to Image, Save As, and then you can choose here PNG or JPEG, because it's save as a PNG, and then just say what you want to, I don't know, say monkey exercise, and then you save image. Okay. If you want to render another image, you have slots here. So for slot 1, so slot 2, let's say, and then you change a few things. You change your lighting, you add things, and you can then render again, and you can compare here, slot 1, and then, yeah. So, okay. So we are ready to start now our Isometric High Street. So I see you in the next video.